Welcome back everybody to Hannah Montana Season 1 Retrospective. I'm Johnny 2000 and it's time to finally dive into the episodes 14 to 16 of Hannah Montana Season 1. Last video we went through the first 13 episodes and I had so much fun, and so now I'm about to tell you about how wacky this is about to get. So sit down and let's get started.
Okay, episode 14 is New Kid in School, and the title is a reference to the Eagles song New Kid in Town, which is the 14th episode of the first season. So Jake Ryan, handsomely famous TV star, is transferring to Miley and Lily's school.
Calm down. Even though Jake's a big TV star, here he's just another student who totally destroys zombies!
As soon as he arrives, reporters talking about filming a documentary about his new school life and recording everybody. And then Miley sees beyond his handsome face and sees him as this.
I want each and every one of you to think of me as someone just like you.
Really?
Well, try, okay?
Big-headed, annoying guy because he's showing off his superstardom, something that she has never done. Miley becomes jealous because she's Hannah and Jake's getting all the attention and is treated better because of it. Lily and Oliver tell Miley that if she tells everybody she's Hannah, she could get all the respect and extra things that Jake got. So due to anger and stress, Miley tells the reporter that she's Hannah Montana, but the reporter doesn't even believe her. So Miley tells the reporter her address so Miley can prove it. However, Jake tells Miley that he likes the superstardom, and he likes Miley because she sees the real Jake, not the superstar. And Jake wishes he could turn the fame and fortune off because it could get annoying.
Yeah, I guess my disguise didn't work.
Wow, shocker.
Come on! Do the line! Do the line! I would, but I'm kind of... Do the line!
Which makes her realize what she has. At this point, Jake's swept up with his fans, and Miley realizes she made the mistake telling the reporter. When the reporter comes to her house, she just makes it seem like she made it all up to begin with, and actually has Jackson dressed as Elvis and Robbie Ray dressed as Billy Ray Cyrus.
I haven't officially introduced myself. I'm Billy Ray Cyrus.
Okay, that's it, we're out of here.
Which is kind of funny. The reporter then leaves thinking they're crazy, and Miley decides she's not going to tell anybody she's Hannah. She's going to be extra sure it's the right decision. Meanwhile, in the subplot, Jackson gets a new car, and he's about to go on a date, but when he starts the car, battery dies, and Jackson convinces Robbie to let him take the new car, which is much better, and Robbie ends up taking Jackson's car battery to replace and rips off the car door. So he tries to hide it, and he forgives all of Jackson's mistakes, but Jackson actually finds out that Robbie... This is like one of the first times Uncle Earl was also mentioned. This is also the first appearance of Jake Ryan, who is going to be coming back a little bit recurringly in this season. And this is the third time Miley has, quote-unquote, revealed her secret to a person. First Lily, then Oliver. And the third one is the reporter, although she did end up not getting it released. This is actually the first episode that Miley gets jealous of something somebody else has. Like, usually she's the superstar, so she doesn't have to worry about it. But it's really interesting to see her look at Jake Ryan as this is kind of like the alter ego that she's projecting a lot onto him, and it's very interesting. So then we got 15, which is More Than a Zombie to Me. The episode title is a reference to the Bee Gees song, More Than a Woman to Me.
It's disgusting.
Oh, come on. If he asked you to the dance, are you telling me you wouldn't say yes?
Yes?
Yes, you'd say no, or yes, you'd say yes?
No, yes, I'd say no.
Where Jake Ryan actually asks Miley to the school dance. So Miley refuses because Hannah's on the show Zombie High, which Miley happens to be also on as Hannah Montana. And Miley doesn't want to kiss Jake and asks the director if she can kiss the demon dog instead.
Do I really have to kiss that zombie slayer?
Since the divine prophecy states that only by reawakening the cold, dead heart of the princess can the Slayer rout the forces of darkness and save the world from ultimate destruction, I'm gonna have to say yes, you do.
But then she soon finds out that Jake actually really does like her, not just Jake Ryan the celebrity. And Miley realizes she might also like Jake too, so she wants to do the kissing scene. But the director now does want her to kiss the demon dog as requested. She tries to tell Lily she likes Jake and wants to go to the dance with him now. But while she's attempting to do so, Jake comes up and asks Lily to the dance instead, ignoring Miley's protests. So Miley tells Lily that she does like Jake, but Lily decides to go to the dance with him anyway, so they get in a huge fight. Miley comes to the dance in a tight red dress to get Jake to notice her, which is weird for a kid's show.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Whoa.
What are you doing? You're supposed to be at a 70 dance, not turning letters on a game show.
To be honest, if I were Miley, I would be careful trying to anger Lily, especially given the fact she knows the secret. For a kid's show, Lily and Miley end up getting in a big fight over Jake on the dance floor, which leaves Lily in tears and Miley feeling horrible, yet Jake obviously feels this is normal and loves it. They make up while cleaning in the bathroom and both end up dancing with each other instead of Jake. And then meanwhile, Jackson and Robbie engage in a war, which involves Jackson falling into the Punji pit. And in the end of the episode, they're sitting on the couch, at this point heavily suspicious of movement when somebody rings the doorbell. They both think it's like a prank, so they end up not letting in this guy with a $10 million check.
Oh, no, man, I'm not getting it.
Neither am I. Let the monkey get it.
Well, maybe there's a $10 million winner at the next house. Come on, guys!
And during the filming of Zombie High, wait, doesn't Zombie High exist now? Whoa, this is creepy. I did not realize that. And during the filming of Zombie High, the director makes a reference to the opening credits of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is kind of interesting. Episode 16 is Good Golly Miss Dolly, and the title is a reference to the Little Richard song, Good Golly Miss Molly. We got another grandma episode, which is going to be exciting. So Miley's godmother, Aunt Dolly, visits the Stewart family. Dolly Parton, if you guys aren't completely aware, she brings her video camera to film the family, but Miley accidentally tapes herself.
I'm through pretending that I don't like you when the truth is, I'm totally in love with you. Wait a minute. Is this thing on?
Professing her love for Jake. Oliver and Lily come over and Oliver accidentally takes the videotape with him, and Miley needs to get back the video camera, but unfortunately Oliver has already given Jake the tape.
Jake who?
Which is a pretty genuine mistake on Oliver's part. Like, how was he supposed to know that Miley admitted something on tape?
So Miley, Lily, and Aunt Dolly try to break into the school, go to the edit office, and get the tape back before Miley gets dumped in a veggie burger, milkshake, and fries. Also, when Miley finally builds the courage to tell Jake she likes him, Jake reveals that he actually has a girlfriend, Rachel. And at the end, Miley's sitting on the couch with her dad and Aunt Dolly, and they convince Miley not to give up on Jake by singing Who Said in a version related to their conversation. This episode's really cute because I feel like Dolly Parton wasn't necessary, but it does dig a little bit into their home life, and I love seeing more of Miley's origins, especially as it's like preparing us for the movie later on. I know they didn't go in with that intention, but it really does make that movie even more better. Miley mentions that she modeled her Hannah look after Dolly, but in the episode Take This Job and Love It, Miley goes through a flashback where she got her Hannah wig, and it turns out Roxy made up Hannah's look, not Dolly. Dolly Parton appears in this episode, and she's apparently Miley Cyrus's real-life godmother. Okay, now we got torn between two Hannahs. The reference is the title is a reference to the Mary McGregor song Torn Between Two Lovers. This episode is notorious for being forgotten, but I remember it because of how often I spent watching these DVDs. This was also written by Todd J. Greenwald, who wrote a couple other episodes of this show and eventually created Wizards of Waverly Place. He's a really good writer, and I met him on LinkedIn once, but he didn't seem to like me. Miley's lookalike cousin, Luann, from visits from Texas, and Miley believes Luann is like the devil's little helper because she's once pushed her into a well.
Let's not forget who pulled you out of that well when you were just 6.
Let's not forget who pushed me in.
Hey, that was an accident. Sometimes kids do stuff without thinking.
Stupid blind.
So when Luann arrives, she's sweet, kind to everybody, and Hannah is invited by Tracy to a Halloween party, and Hannah's planning on going with Lola. But meanwhile, Miley has been increasingly paranoid about Luann, and they seemingly reconcile.
I think it's time that we took the past and buried it. Yeah, kind of like what we used to do with Aunt Pearl's roadkill ravioli. Yeah, there's always gravel in mine.
Then when they go to the party, it's revealed that Luann is actually dressed as Hannah, while the real Miley is bound by ropes and gagged with Ebola. So this is a Halloween episode, also, if you didn't think that. And it's very clear that Miley Cyrus is playing Miley Cyrus, which is a really fun trope that I like to see in the 2000s. Luann desperately tries to embarrass Miley, and then Miley escapes, hurries to the party, and tries to stop Luann from quote-unquote ruining her Hannah Montana secret. When she finally convinces Lily out of the situation, she finds Luann on stage giving a speech as Hannah.
Looky here, y'all are about to see something you never expected to see. The other side, the other side, the other side of...
And is about to take off her wig. In current times, this is really easy to do. You just go on social media and say Miley is Hannah. Or, like, the fact that she looked so identical, she probably could have stood as Miley Stewart and said that too. So there's a lot of flaws here. When the lights go out, they pull Luann off stage, resulting in two Hannahs getting mixed up, and they're wearing identical clothing. So Luann then begins claiming that she's actually Miley, and Lily and Oliver don't actually know who the real Miley is, which is super cool. Oliver has an idea and says,
Both you kiss me.
Okay. Ew.
That's Miley.
While Luann excitedly accepts, Miley is disgusted, which reveals which one is the right one. And in the subplot, Jackson and Robbie try to be scarier in Halloween than their neighbor, Mr. Danzig, who ends up being like the annoying neighbor that comes up recurringly in the first season, who eventually is kind of like off the show completely. But then he ends up tricking them into scaring the children away and ends up hating the family. And instead of being scary, Mr. Danzig is dressed up as Mr. Happy Pumpkin Man, and everybody loves him more.
Christmas.
Alaboo.
Come on, kids. Let's all go back to my house, and everyone can have another ride on the pony. Yeah!
Oh, Tracy's party at Halloween is called the Hannah-ween party, which is super, super funny. In addition to the fact that there was two Hannahs in this anyway. And Mitchell Musso actually stated this would be the first episode where Hannah and Oliver would be in the same scene together. However, they were in a few scenes together in Miley Get Your Gum and Oh Say Can You Remember the Words, but it would be the first time they actually had a proper conversation together as Hannah and Oliver. The episode was adapted into the book Nightmare on Hannah Street, which is a parody of Nightmare on Elm Street, and this is the first Halloween episode. Miley says that Halloween is just 2 days away, meaning the episode takes place October 29th. Miley plays 3 roles in this episode, Miley, Luann, and Hannah, which is kind of interesting. Okay, episode 18, People Who Use People. And the title refers to the song People from Funny Girl, which includes the lyrics, People Who Need People. 18th episode of the first season. When Miley finds out that Jake has a friend named Holly, Miley mistakes her as his new girlfriend. And she still has feelings for him, so she starts hanging out with a boy named Willis, who told her he's graduating in order to make Jake jealous. While on a date with Willis, Miley finds out that he's actually 11 and a half in elementary school and just tall, which is kind of creepy.
Your senior boyfriend over there?
No, that kid just looks like him.
I am King Willis.
And has the same name.
Jake later tells Miley that he and Holly are actually only together for publicity, which ends up getting them to kiss. Miley and Jake then decide to become a couple, and Jake asks if Miley is available Saturday, 4 months from now, for a date. So Jake flies off to Romania for 4 months as he's going to shoot a movie that Frankie Muniz dropped out of.
Yeah, would have been awful for you to left without planting one on me.
Exactly.
Because she's annoyed that Jake kissed her and is now leaving. Meanwhile, which honestly, relatable. Meanwhile, after learning that Miss Kunkel and Robbie get along so well at the parent convention, Jackson tries to get his teacher and Robbie Ray into a relationship so he can get an A in a classroom, which is kind of intense. But he ends up learning that it's not going to happen because...
It's great to meet you, ma'am. Let us sit and talk.
Doggies, I'm on fire!
Because of his father's idea of earning the A honestly, it just doesn't work. The exterior of the bowling alley is actually the same one used in the episode of Bowling for A Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And then Miley obviously quotes, "What you talking about, Willis?" from the 1970s, 80s sitcom Different Strokes.
You said you were graduating.
I am.
Elementary school.
Okay, 19. We got Money for Nothing, Guilt for Free. 19th episode of the first season. And the title is a reference to the Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing. So in this one, Miley, Lily, Oliver, Amber, and Ashley's teacher, Mr. Corelli, sends the students off to raise money for the local fundraising program.
Okay, this has Amber and Ashley written all over it.
Actually, it has Dork and Dorky are written all over it.
That's it. They're gonna pay for this.
Wait. Was I dork or dorkier?
So Miley and Lily are against Amber and Ashley, which is a common trope in the first season that's really kind of interesting. So they're unsuccessful at raising money until they have the idea.
Now, before I start my next song, I would just like to give a shout out to a great charity called United People's Relief. So show your love and make a donation. Guys, please, paper money only, people.
Maybe Hannah Montana can do this to get a larger amount. So they feel guilty, but they end up getting so much more, and they realize another girl named Sarah, wholeheartedly devoted to charity and wanted to donate this card, which is much harder than raising money.
It's harder than any of us, and she's the only one doing it for the right reasons.
Reasons, I want my new skateboard.
In the end, they ultimately want to give it to Sarah so she could win the contest. Sarah, however, won't accept the money from them because she's too nice, so Miley and Lily dress up as Hannah and Lily Luftnagel to give her the money. In spite of this, Ashley and Amber still win the contest because Oliver accidentally bragged to them that Sarah had more money than the fundraiser.
Okay, maybe I bragged a little about how Sarah was gonna beat them.
Button it.
So not wanting to be beaten by Sarah, Amber and Ashley quickly ask their parents to write another check. However, the victory is spoiled when Miley interrupts their interview for the local newspaper by telling the reporter that Amber and Ashley want to donate their prize to charity and will volunteer at a soup kitchen during their days on and off from school, much to the horror and Sarah's delight. The picture of Amber and Ashley is taken and is displayed at school. Lily, Miley, and Oliver got their revenge. This show is really good at distributing karma effectively, I would say, which is really fun. In the subplot, Jackson believes that he's better than his dad at sports, but this changes when Cooper tells him that Robbie is letting him win. So Jackson actually has to prove to his dad that he is not letting him win, and Cooper gives Jackson some lessons in ping pong so he could beat his father. Jackson wins, but due to his gloating, he and his father become fiercely competitive over petty things, and it ends with Jackson and Robbie having a contest of who can drink and hold water the longest, when Robbie ends up winning and says, "I knew having 8 brothers and sisters with one outhouse would pay off someday," which is kind of funny. The little girl in this is also Noah Cyrus again. Since this is also the final appearance of Jackson's friend Cooper, who was like mainly here in the first season, but I'm gonna miss this guy. This is also Sarah's first appearance, and she's gonna be coming back a little bit. Okay, episode 20, Debt It Be. Robbie gives Miley and Jackson credit cards, which Miley goes to a one-day flea market and finds out she does not have enough money with her to buy the things she wants and ends up using her credit card.
And just for you, I'll throw in this lovely belt.
Oh, thank you.
For $20 more.
Hey, you need something to hold up the skirt.
Very true.
And you know it would look great with that skirt and the belt?
These shoes?
Really?
Unfortunately, it's only supposed to be for emergencies, but she ends up buying a lot of expensive stuff and being duped by all the stall owners, which is funny because it's like very clearly seems like she's a victim of it, but she's clearly like choosing this multiple times.
Yeah, and what they're singing, and I'm dancing, and all of a sudden, my hand cramps up, and I've got to stop the whole concert and disappoint thousands of people, or hand massager.
Miley realizes how much trouble she's going to be and decides to return the items, get her money back, but the flea market is gone, which happens in real life a lot. With no other options, Miley asks Jackson, who is in Marlon Brando from The Godfather, to help her pay off the debt.
You made me wait 20 minutes so you could go put on some stupid costume and do a bad imitation.
You hear that, Fluffy? More disrespect.
Jackson hatches a plan to auction off Hannah's old clothes in exchange for a portion of the profit. So the siblings actually work together to cover the money to pay off Miley's debt, so she thinks that they are home free, until Robbie tells the jeweler he wants a pair of sapphire earrings that Hannah had for a music video, and apparently they accidentally gave her a real pair instead of fake ones, so when they sold it, they sold the real ones. So Miley tries to get the earrings back from the woman who bought them, Catherine McCord, who is at the senior retirement center. So she goes and dresses Hannah, and Jackson joins as they try to persuade Catherine to sell back the earrings. But
you want to get that close, you gotta buy me dinner, sailor.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hey, you're Hannah Montana.
When she's very attached to them, Miley has to lie and said that the earrings belonged to her grandmother. And then Catherine agrees to return them, but only if Miley's grandmother appears to claim them.
Aren't you a cute young thing? Oh, my, it's been a while since anybody called me that.
I hear that. Barely. So, Nana, don't you want those earrings back that mean more to you than life itself?
For this purpose, Jackson dresses up as an old lady, Nana Montana, to trick her to giving back the earrings. Unfortunately, and it's such a funny episode. I love watching Miley and Jackson get along and or scheme together because they're so wacky and they bring out each other's like really neurotic sides. So it's really funny to watch episodes with them in it and not just Jackson being pushed off to the subplot like always. In the end, it's revealed Robbie's at the retirement home disguised as an old man himself. So it turns out he knew all along and he was trying to teach his kids a lesson with the sapphire earrings. Catherine was in on his plan and Miley apologizes to his father and she's punished with cleaning the house to pay off the credit card debt. Robbie Ray punishes Miley by ordering her to clean the garage. Miley says there's spiders in the garage because in real life, Miley Cyrus's worst fear is spiders. And she reveals this in the Hannah Montana 2-disc special edition soundtrack. And then Nana Montana is mentioned in the episode of Sunny with a Chance, Random Acts of Disrespect. Okay, now we got My Boyfriend's Jackson, and There's Gonna Be Trouble. This one is freaking wacky. So Paulie the paparazzi follows Hannah to the house, finds Hannah and Jackson together, and assumes that it's Hannah's boyfriend's house. So he takes a picture, puts it in a magazine, and they're invited to a party to be in front of the paparazzi.
So, when exactly were you two gonna tell me you were dating?
Come on, Dad, it's not funny. It's horrible.
Yeah, how could anybody believe that I would go out with someone like her?
Jackson, it would be the luckiest day of your life if you got to date Hannah Montana, and what am I saying?
And instead of saying that it's fake or it's a misunderstanding, Jackson still wants to be famous or likes the attention, so he says that they're in love. But he's becomes more and more obnoxious.
Note to self. Send Coop a nice fruit basket saying, I'm sorry, blah, 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 and throwing an autographed photo of Jack Santa.
So Hannah has to make an appearance on the show Wendy, and her plan is to break up on that show. But Jackson instead tells him he doesn't want to break up, and Hannah does it anyway.
No, I can change. Please, just give me another chance. I don't want to lose you in all the things Grunschweigen, Flog, and Watch that we have together.
Forget it. We have nothing together. Jackson, it's over.
Hannah, he's down on his knees. How can you turn him down?
But then Jackson said he's in love. He loved Hannah like a sister. And this episode's so friggin' weird, but it's so funny because it's like, of course, like this is such... You definitely go into the show being like, oh my god, what if this was going to happen? And it does in this episode, which I really love. In the subplot, Oliver and Sarah team up for a project of taking care of a flower baby, and Oliver finds out that he might be in love with Sarah, which is really crazy.
Just think, one day he could be a great humanitarian. We're a couple dozen cupcakes.
And then later they learn that without the flower baby, they have nothing in common, which is very, very middle school. Okay, then we got We Are Family. Now get me some water. It's a reference to the Sister Sledge song, We Are Family. And if you didn't think the last episode was crossing a line, just listen to the title of this one. I can't get it out of my head. Miley tries to practice for an important award show when she has to perform as Hannah Montana, but she gets interrupted by Jackson. She tells him to go outside and drive his car far away, but he hasn't gotten enough money because Rico doesn't pay him enough money. Didn't he get a raise in the other episode? So Miley goes to the beach with Lily to convince Rico to pay Jackson more, and he says that if she dances in the competition with him, he will. So
what do you say? You wash my back, I'll wash your brother's.
Okay, first, ew! And second, I think it's scratch my back. And third, ew!
This is like the first episode with Miley and Rico. I like that a lot. That if Jackson doesn't... So Miley says no, she won't dance with him, and Rico says Jackson won't get more money. So he ends up firing Jackson. So Jackson's fired. So Jackson goes to the beach to find out that he has been replaced with Oliver, and the shop sells more than ever. And Miley suggests that he could work as Hannah Montana's assistant, thinking he wouldn't accept it. But then he does.
Hannah Montana will never use your limo company again. Good day, sir. I said good day!
Jackson, what happened?
They don't have a limo. and they're saying it's my fault because I didn't make a reservation. Can you believe that?
I know I do.
And then Miley realizes she doesn't want him to do that, so she ends up needing to fire him, but she doesn't want to because it was her fault for getting him fired the first time. So Miley's annoyed that Jackson can't do his job right. So then before she fires him, he thanks her for not firing him, even if he did something wrong, which makes her not want to do it anymore. And he bought her beautiful earrings, so I guess that's fair.
I don't even care how many paychecks it takes for me to pay him off. It's worth it. Just to know that you believe in me.
Uh-huh. I do. You betcha.
So she decides not to fire him. So then for the music video, Jackson accidentally breaks this actor's back.
I don't know. It worked when Scooby did it to Shaggy.
That's a cartoon!
No, I was talking about my cousins.
Sean can't dance, so he wants to talk to Hannah, but Jackson stops him because he doesn't want Hannah to know that he failed at this exercise. So he steps in for him and ends up being the guy, and then Hannah nearly falls off stage, ruins the performance, and Miley actually has to fire him. And then Jackson's upset because he can never get anything right, and Robbie tries to build him up by saying,
First of all, assistant ain't a word. You did great down at Rico's.
I know, and I liked it too.
Well, maybe that's why you were good at it.
So then later, Miley dances with Rico at the competition, and Jackson ends up getting his job back. And later, Lily and Oliver are seen sitting on the beach, where Oliver complains about Jackson and is disappointed he lost his job to him. This is the first episode that actually aired in 2007. And they also revealed that Miley's childhood nickname is Smiley Miley, which was the reason why Miley changed her name from Destiny Hope Cyrus to Miley Ray Cyrus. Okay, then we got School Bully. It's the 23rd episode of the first season. So there's a new girl at school, Henrietta, played by Jalen Palmer, and Miley and others call her the Cracker. So Miley bets that the new girl isn't bad and actually tries to get to know her, which is nice. I like seeing this side of Miley, that she has like genuinely good intentions despite everybody else's feelings.
I'm Miley. You know, I used to be new here too. But now I'm old here. Well, not old. Like this meatloaf. Hey, trick.
But then, obviously, the Cracker ends up putting lipstick all over Miley's face and tying Lily and Miley's heads together using their hair. Roxy tries to help them by telling them to run, scream for the principal, but the girls refuse. So the next day, Roxy comes to school dressed as a student so she can protect Miley and Lily from the Cracker.
Why are you dressed like a kid?
Quiet, I'm trying to blend in. What are you all looking at? I got held back a grade or two. Who's counting? Not me. That's why I got held back.
Things then get worse when Roxy won't let the girls hang out with the boys, and the next day Roxy starts dressing up like Miley, and she gives a GPS on Miley's beret so she could find her. Miley gives the beret to another girl, Jeannie, in order to throw Roxy off. Miley goes to the cafeteria to face the Cracker, but then Lily, who's supposed to be the principal part of Miley's plan, is too late, and the Cracker puts Miley in the salad bar.
I'm late, aren't I?
Just a smidge.
Roxy then reveals to Miley and Lily that the reason she was being unreasonable was to get them to go to the principal themselves. And upon hearing this, Miley proceeds to chase Roxy around the school, which is really nice. It's so funny that Roxy's just this like extremely overprotective bodyguard. Like, I love that bit, and it does really well, especially the actress playing her is so funny that it's so good. Meanwhile, Jackson and Robbie Way stay at a ski lounge, and it snowed in during an avalanche, so they're forced to stay at the ski lodge with his owner and the talking dummy.
There is no snowplow.
Gunther?
No, it's Franklin. Gunther's asleep.
At the end, Jackson uses his dummy to lip sync a Hannah Montana song. Well, now we got the idol side of me. So it's the 24th episode. We're getting toward the tail end of this season. The TV show Singing with the Stars is set up to see who can sing the best, and the winner gets to perform with Hannah Montana. So at school, Amber and Ashley's new popularity list places Miley and Hannah in last place with Dandruff Danny.
How far down did they put us this year?
Keep going. Keep going. Just skip to the last page.
Oh, we're tied for dead last with Dandruff Danny.
Is someone actually talking to me?
And as a result, Oliver starts to try to avoid being seen with them. Miley thinks Amber's a bad singer, so she tries to embarrass her by getting her on the show, but it turns out she's actually that Ashley is a bad singer, not Amber.
she? Her voice.
You said.
I know.
But now...
So Lola makes a trap for Amber's entrance, but when Hannah talks to Amber backstage, Amber tells Hannah that she had been an unpopular girl with glasses when she was young, and she always pretends like it never bothered her. So Hannah actually starts to feel guilty about the trap, and she gets Amber to promise her that she'll be nicer to kids in the future, and tells her to go through the red entrance while she goes through the trap.
My friends, but millions. Girl feels disconnected.
So then Hannah becomes covered in fog, and back at school, it turns out all Amber has done is boost Dandruff Danny's placement on the list, not Miley and Lily's. Lily faces a similar trap of greens. Meanwhile, Jackson and his dad try to sort out a problem with like a really noisy dog, and I don't really need to say that much more about this. Singing with the Stars is a parody of Dancing with the Stars, and obviously kind of like the Voice parody. Shakira is mentioned in this episode, which is interesting. It's first revealed that Jackson's middle name is Rod in this, Jackson Rod Stewart. And it's interesting because Miley actually not interact with her dad or Jackson in this episode, which has happened in previous episodes. Jackson and Robbie never left the house in this episode. Okay, now we got Smells Like Teen Sellout. This is like one of the most notorious episodes. I love this one. It's based on the title's a reference to Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Hannah is given a perfume line to a sponsor and soon realizes that the smell of raspberry actually makes her sick. So she reveals that she was once in a pie eating contest and ate too much raspberries, and now she is triggered by them. So she decides to lie, making her stick it out in order to keep the gift she's received from the sponsorship, including a car.
It's beautiful.
Yep, too bad we gotta send it back.
Say what?
Hey, Mal, they're not gonna let us keep it once you back out of that commercial.
The only thing I'm backing out of is this driveway and my sweet new ride.
And later, Hannah has a television appearance to sponsor the perfume, and worried that she might get a whiff of the perfume and gag, she puts an injection of medicine in her nose. But during the interview, she tries to lie, ends up having giggles, hiccups, because Lily telling her that she giggles and Oliver hiccups when they lie, which is a funny psychological issue.
You know, when I get nervous, I sweat. Like a pig!
And after hearing that, she starts to do that. So she eventually decides not to put the perfume on in the market and loses her car.
You do what you feel is right. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy what time I have left with Maria.
So inevitably she decides not to. So in the end, she ends up losing the car. But in the subplot, Jackson and Oliver work on an audition tape for a TV program called Teen Wilderness Challenge, which is really funny. This is like one of the first times we see Jackson and Oliver like each other a lot, and I definitely think later episodes this becomes one of the best tropes.
Give me a slice.
I can't do that, man.
Come on, I'll give you 3 puka shells and these magic fire sticks.
Jackson, get a grip. You're stronger than this. Sure, I could give you this pizza and you could stuff your face with the pepperoni and the sausage and the cheesy-filled crust, but you don't want to do that.
I don't.
Now for the season finale of Hannah Montana Season 1, we have, the title is a spoof of Bad Moon Rising from 1969. Bad Moose Rising, which is a parody on the Creedence Clearwater Revival song Bad Moose Rising. So Jackson's plans to go to the baseball game are canceled when he has to take Miley and Lily to the mall.
No, way, it's not gonna happen. Cooper and I are going to a Dodger game today, and I'm breaking in a new foam finger.
So they can go shopping for Hannah Montana's fashion show. So Jackson voices his complaints, but Miley blatantly says she doesn't care, and says to use the tickets to wipe his tears, which is kinda dark. Jackson is so annoyed with having a younger sister who always needs him to chauffeur her around at the expense of what he wants. So Jackson calls out Miley, saying she's too selfish to give up a day just for him. So they make a bet to see whether Miley can handle Mr. Dotzig's niece, Patty, for an entire day.
Whatever she wants, no complaints.
Deal.
3, 2, 1.
Make me a sandwich or I'll scream.
What?
So after a half day, Miley is annoyed, ready to give up the bet, but Patty becomes bored and wants to go home. So Jackson, not wanting Miley to win the bet, advises Patty to sing a song at the Make a Moose store. While Miley finds out that so Jackson tries stalling to get an employee to name 100 of the custom moose, including Moose Lee, Moose Skywalker, and I Love Moosey. However, Miley's rushed to quickly make Patty's moose. Patty thought her moose did not have enough stuffing, so Miley started the stuffing machine and it wouldn't stop. So that she wouldn't get in trouble for using the stuffing machine, Miley hid it behind her back when an employee came, and the nozzle ended up in her pants, which filled it with cotton, and Patty starts acting up when she finally snaps.
Hear what he said. I've done enough for you. I'm sick of this. I have my own life, and I'm not gonna let you ruin it.
That's it. I win. You blew up.
I did not blow up.
Which is exactly what Jackson's point was trying to teach. So she learns that Jackson and her is exactly like her, and she realizes it wasn't really fair to give up his life for her the same way it's not fair for her to give up her life for Patty. And Jackson says that he wants to take Miley to the fashion show out of his heart. In the end, Miley walks the runway as Hannah Montana, but she has a problem with the zipper and the moose costume, so she wears the moose costume. In the subplot, Robbie is sick and has a fever, so Roxy tries to cure him.
It looks delicious, Roxy, but I'm just not hungry.
Oh, honey, you don't eat the funk. The funk eats you.
Whoa, what are you doing?
And after putting it on his chest, clears up his sinuses. And Jackson later comes in and asks Roxy for more of her homemade soup, causing her to realize that Jackson ate the funk, which is actually kind of gross. Yeah, Make a Moose is a parody of the Build-A-Bear workshop. Moose Lee is a parody of Bruce Lee, the famous martial arts instructor. I Love Moosey is a parody of I Love Lucy, a sitcom from the 1950s. And I guess that ends our Season 1 retrospective. Weird episode that doesn't really tie up anything. But it is a perfect season when it comes to every character had a turn with one another, and we learn a lot about the different dynamics that work and don't work through this first season. And as we get to the next season, you're going to see how well the Hannah Montana crew kind of implemented these changes as the show just gets better and better from here. This is still a remarkable season, and I feel like if Hannah Montana ended after this season, it would still be a remarkable show. Like, the idea of this pop star persona having to take on so many different aspects of life, but having two sides is such a good metaphor for growing up, and I'm not going to be able to reiterate that enough. And I love the dynamics of the characters. They all have their fears, they all have their quirks, and then they all kind of conflict with each other in a way that doesn't make them unlikable, which is such a hard thing to do in any kind of television show, let alone a kid's show, let alone Hannah Montana. And this is definitely one of my favorite shows on Disney Channel for a reason, which is why you're gonna see me have this show first. But yeah, overall, the first season is just such a good season. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this entire video. I know this is a super long-winded one. I feel long-winded. I pretty much did this entire voiceover over the course of 2 hours, so I'm actually running out of breath right now. But thank you guys so much for watching and being as committed to watching this as I am to Hannah Montana, because I just think this is such a culturally great show. It does everything iCarly did, but a little bit better, and is grounded in a lot more empathetic and social emotional lessons than you would ever expect. And looking back, I am so impressed with how they set everything up, and I'm so excited to keep watching this show along with you guys. But in the meantime, what do you guys think? How was your feelings on the Hannah Montana first season? And also, how many episodes didn't you remember? Because most of these got shelved because of all the better episodes that came out after it, but I definitely don't think these episodes deserve to be forgotten. So I'd love to hear more about what your guys' reflections were on this season, how you remember being introduced to each of the characters, the relationships between Miley, Robbie, Miley Jackson, Miley Lily, Miley Oliver, and then all of the other relationships in between. Maybe even the guest stars. I think some of the guest stars that we could definitely highlight this season would be most notably Jake Ryan, who ends up being somebody that comes back later, but you know, it's a really interesting dynamic because not only is he Hannah's like kind of alter ego or the character's reflected attributes, he also is a love interest, which adds a lot of really complex dynamics. And I love that he's only in a couple episodes, so we gotta kind of get a taste. It would be really annoying if he never came back, but I think we all know he does. And it's going to get a lot more interesting from here. So he is definitely the highlighted guest star this season. I definitely have to give a notable mention, though, to Roxy. Roxy is such a good side character. I guess maybe the actress was just so funny, or the bodyguard was just needed, but every time she's in this show, just gets better and better. Because not only is she a comedy bit, she's a really likable character for wanting to protect Hannah, as well as being somebody in her life that knows both identities. And it's just a sweet relationship, and I can't wait to see more of Roxy again in this show. And honestly, I wish she was more in the second half of the series. As we know, it like kind of ends up being a little bit less about that. But Mr. Danzig is somebody that really doesn't come back that much, but he's definitely a really funny comedy relief to kind of get Jackson going in this series. Obviously, later we don't need to see him as much. I think he comes in a couple times, but that place is kind of filled with Rico and Oliver. Like, there's already enough characters in the main cast that this is kind of necessary. I'll also note that Rico is not technically a main character in this first season. He's only in like a couple episodes. So I would say that Rico is also the highlight of this season as a guest star, if not better than Jake Ryan, because Rico is such an interesting character, and I can't remember if he was intended to be in it. I don't think so after not being in the like pilot or first couple episodes, but as the beach becomes more of a central location, we really get to know Rico a lot better, and he becomes more of a mystery, and the more devious he gets, the more fun it is to watch him. I love that he's kind of starts to serve as more as Miley's nemesis going forward, because he's really not like that in this show. He's a lot more of the antagonist of Jackson, but Rico has a lot of room to grow, and I'm so excited to see how that goes too. Otherwise, what do you guys think of this entire season? Leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Johnny 2000.